Hello everyone, my name is Garrett, and today I'll be talking about a social studies lesson that incorporates design thinking. I will begin by talking about this lesson's learning goal and how it satisfies this design thinking ethos. Next, I will give a thorough overview of the lesson. Thirdly, I will talk about 3 tools that students can use for this lesson, and I'll also be providing a brief demonstration of one of them. Lastly, I will encourage you to click the link in the description to listen to a sample podcast created by myself and fellow peers about the Irish potato famine of 1845, so you can get a sense of what the final product will look like. The problem that we wanted to present to students with this design thinking challenge is, how have nations historically addressed issues of food insecurity, and how might we apply this precedent to food insecurity in the present day? As many of you might tell, there is a constant news cycle about food insecurity in the United States today. We understand the likelihood that this issue may affect students both inside and outside of our communities, and so we thought it all the more relevant that students explore this issue not merely with the intent to research the cause and effects, but also to offer solutions. So here we have the broad plan of the lesson, and in the following slides I'll be discussing each of them. The first part of this lesson will be a bit of an icebreaker. We want students to offer their a priori knowledge so that the class can get a sense of the knowledge gaps and experiences we all come to the lesson carrying. Leading questions like, do food shortages exist today? And does anyone know of food shortage from the past? Can help advance these discussions. Of course, given the sensitive nature of the topic and the possible first-hand experience some students may have with this phenomena, the types of discussions throughout the lesson will vary greatly. After feeling this knowledge, we encourage the showing of some short visual documentary-style media of historical famines. Students will be asked to record their observations of the videos in preparation for a partner discussion, at which will follow another short class debrief of the material. Links are included in the description for both a video about the Irish potato famine and the Holodomor in Soviet Ukraine, as they are both common examples. The second portion of the lesson will by far take the longest, for it will include both the research of the podcast and its recording. Depending on time constraints, the group size can be enlarged to lessen the burden on individual research, though instructors should be mindful of also extending the time expectation. We also encourage that individuals or groups select famines of their choice, as it might work to better engage students in areas of interest beyond the scopes of the class. Of course, this level of flexibility can be reeled in or liberalized by the instructor. And here I will diverge for a brief moment to discuss 3 possible options for podcast recording. The most intuitive of these options, especially for younger students, is SpeakPipe, which is an online web-based podcasting platform that allows users to begin recording right in the web page, afterwards generating a link where the recording can be shared and accessed. It is as simple as it gets, but offers little in the way of flexibility when it comes to mistakes or transitions or remote-based recording, as there are no editing capabilities in the browser or application. A strong departure from SpeakPipe is GarageBand, which allows for more sophisticated editing and in-house musical tools, that was limited by it only being available for Apple-based platforms. The next recording software, which is personally used by me, is Audiotonic and its derivative Audacity, which are both free applications that allow for even greater editing than GarageBand, but whose interface might confuse some students. There's little in the way of in-house music tools like GarageBand that would accept all audio files, and there are plenty of third-party audio libraries online available for download that students will likely find very enjoyable. Any of these 3 will more than satisfy the lesson. And now I'll depart this presentation to give you a brief demonstration of Audiotonic, a program that I gladly recommend. So here we have an example audio here. So I have 2 tracks. In this one,
I like elephants.
I say I like elephants, and then in this one,
Narwhals.
so let's say I was recording and I wanted to take the elephant part out, and I wanted to just say I like narwhals instead of elephants. So I would go right here, and I would try to find the clip where I say elephants.
Elephants.
This actually.
Elephants.
So I found it right here, so I'm going to click and drag this, and I can just delete this. And then I can use this slider tool. I can move my narwhal clip right over here so we can see the audio file. Or we can see the waves, and we know this is just dead space. So let's play this and see how it sounds.
I like narwhals.
So it's a little clipped because it was taken at 2 different times, but overall I think this is pretty good. We can even cut it a little more for clarity. And we could even choose to dumb down this recording to make it sound a little quieter, like this one sounds. So let's try this again. Play it again.
Narwhals. I like narwhals.
Sounds too quiet, but
Narwhals. I like narwhals.
so there you go. It sounds a little better. This is just one example of using Audiotonic. I found that it's really beneficial for making mistakes and you have to go back, but you don't want to re-record the entire podcast. As you can see, for those of you who have used GarageBand or Audacity, or SpeakPipe, it is definitely a little more complicated, but once you get used to it, I mean, there's only a few tools that students will need to use for this lesson in Audiotonic. But anyway, so after students have researched and recorded their podcast, they'll post it onto a forum, which if any of you have used Reddit or Twitter, this will be a very familiar concept. Using Google Docs, for example, students can post their podcast link and have it be accessed by other students. Upon viewing the podcast, students will comment below the link offering their noticings and wonderings about it. Along with the podcast itself, students' comments about their peers' podcast will also serve as assessment tools for participation and comprehension. Following this archive and reflecting through comments will be a class-wide debrief where students can share their findings. And a minor caveat about this is to say that the kind of platform used to host this discussion will largely depend on the choice of program used by the whole class. So, for example, platforms like Google Docs can host SpeakPipe links, but not raw MP4 files, as with GarageBand or Audiotonic. In this event, the MP4 files would need to be uploaded to something like SoundCloud or YouTube, where the podcast can be given a link. However, the platform used to host the forum, the comments of other students should be visible to everyone, and not simply those who have simply clicked on the YouTube or SoundCloud links. And so here's an example of a podcast created using Audiotonic and posted to YouTube to offer a clickable link for a Google Docs-based archive post. The link for this podcast will be included in the description of this video. Alright, I hope this helps spark some new design thinking lessons to be used in your future classroom, and thanks for watching.